Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live interactive week 2 live interactive session. So this week we'll be looking at adaptation and mitigation strategies in production. If you check your modules, you'll see that this is the module for the second week, module 2. So we're having adaptation and mitigation strategies in production. Last week we talked about climate change and your agribusiness. Today we'll be talking about adaptation and mitigation strategies in production. So before we continue, let's quickly give us the line of events or items that we'll be doing today. So we have introduction, we'll have to talk about AFC like we always do, and then we'll have the membership drive, we'll have the speaker's presentation, then portal walkthrough, after which we'll have our closing and group photos. But before we go into the events properly, we'll just like us to introduce ourselves in the chat box. Tell us your name, your country, and your agribusiness. So, and you should also feel free to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs. Definitely, the GRACE program is a program for entrepreneurs to help them build resilience and adapt to climate change in their agribusinesses. So you are in the right place if you want to connect with other people that have other like-minded people in the business with you. So quickly, we'll have to do a pulse check. You know how we do this, our pulse check. You want to give us an emoji that describes how you're feeling this afternoon, evening, wherever you are actually. So drop an introduction and then tell us how excited or maybe not too excited you are about the event or the program this evening. So quickly, we just want to talk about African food chain makers. I'm sure most of us are already familiar with African food chain makers, but I'll quickly talk about us again. At African food chain makers, we believe that small and medium-sized enterprises are the lifeblood of the food ecosystem in Africa. These enterprises are driven by visionary, dynamic, and innovative entrepreneurs who operate as primary producers, aggregators, processors, distributors, finance and technology providers, chefs, cooks, consultants, and innovators. We call them chain makers. So just look for your place here and call yourself chain maker. So these chain makers are actually faced with the devastating impact of climate change, global and local risk and shocks, and macro and microeconomic challenges. These entrepreneurs need funding, they need training, visibility, market linkages, and a community of support to successfully scale their businesses. Through the African Food Chain Makers Hub, we enable African entrepreneurs to start and scale resilient and sustainable agribusinesses that nourish Africa and the world. But then what do we do at African Food Chain Makers? So the first is community. So we build a community of entrepreneurs where we also give them data and opportunities. So if you want data, you want opportunities, you want salient programs that are happening in the agri-food sector, you want to have that with African Food Chain Makers because that is what we provide every now and then. We also provide visibility and recognitions for entrepreneurs within the agri-food value sector. And then we do learnings and trainings. So part of what we are doing now is the learning and the training. So the GRACE program is what we provide through the learning and training platform that we create. So going forward, we also quickly want to talk about our membership drive. You remember, or just a while ago when I was talking about what we do at African Food Chain Makers, I talked about membership. So the membership hub is actually one great opportunity or something that will create at African Food Chain Makers, and we want to quickly let everyone on the call know about our membership hub and then what you stand to gain by being a member of African Food Chain Makers. So to do this, I would invite the membership officer at African Food Chain Makers. His name is Nusa Obano, to quickly take us through the membership of African Food Chain Makers. So Nusa, are you on the call?
Thank you so much, Patience. Welcome everyone to today's live interactive session. Oh, thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to today's live interactive session. My name is Nusa Obano, and I'll be taking us through the membership drive. At AFC, we definitely believe at helping entrepreneurs to scale their businesses. And what we do is focused on 4, but I will specifically speak to the membership because our community is made up of entrepreneurs across African countries from Nigeria down to the northernmost of the continent, Egypt. So we have entrepreneurs across Africa. So basically, what we do is that we help entrepreneurs to scale. We provide them with access and also strengthen their agribusinesses. We also prepare them to enter new agribusiness markets through our programs like the Scaling Export Program and some other programs we've initiated. We refer entrepreneurs to funding opportunities, to speaking opportunities, and to exhibition opportunities as well. And within our community, we help to build a knowledge gap of our entrepreneurs by implementing First Thursdays, which is a monthly knowledge share session for entrepreneurs to share ideas, learn from industry experts, and also network. We enhance the visibility of our entrepreneurs by promoting their content on social media and also engaging with selected agribusinesses. And we also give our entrepreneurs access to exclusive networking events. And in return, we also exhibit our members' products where we go under the umbrella of African food chain makers at exhibition events and on summits or at trade fairs. And lastly is that we have an access to resource hub where entrepreneurs can get opportunities from data opportunities, from funding opportunities, from events, from trainings, and from other capacity building opportunities on our AFC website. So entrepreneurs can navigate through our membership dashboard and our AFC website to get these opportunities needed for their businesses to scale. And also, if we can move the slide forward, I've talking about the benefit of becoming a member of AFC. Now I want to speak to how we can become a member of the community, which is pretty easy. First is to click on the website www.afchub.org and navigate to the community page where you can join the community by filling out the prepared questions for you. Once you click on the join the community, which my colleague should have dropped on the group, you would answer the necessary questions required about your business and your personal profile, that is your name, company, and country of presence in terms of your agribusiness. Then you answer some other related agribusiness company like your company logo, your company description, and some other questions as well. And you click on the submit button. Once you click on the submit button, you get access to your dashboard automatically, but you'll be restricted to some features on the dashboard because you're not yet verified. Because we still have to do our own research and our own verification process so as to verify your profile. Notwithstanding, you can join some of our membership community like the Facebook and LinkedIn, but upon verification, which is 24 to 48 hours after you've submitted your form, you'll be verified and you get the confirmation email to show that you're a verified member. And once you receive that email, you'll be added to the WhatsApp community, the Telegram channel, and you receive our newsletters as members. They will continually follow up with you with newsletters, with email, with membership talk to, and some other means where we relate with our entrepreneurs. Then the have just 3 criteria needed for it to become a member of AFC. The first is that you should work as an entrepreneur or own an agribusiness in the agri-food landscape. The second is that your agribusiness must be in existence for at least 6 months. And the third is that you should have a social media presence. Why this is not a necessity is why it's not required. We just make it a necessity for entrepreneurs because we are focused on creating that visibility for entrepreneurs. So we welcome entrepreneurs that want to scale and want to have their brand visible. And that is what we do with our programs and with our initiative at AFC. Thank you. And I will urge everyone on this call to, if you're not yet a member, please sign up using the link that is provided in the chat to become a member of AFC, and we welcome you to our community. Thank you so much. And over to you, Patience.
All right, thank you so much, Musa. Thank you for that. So you already now know what you stand to gain if you're a member of the African Food Chain Makers. So please do well to click on the link that's on the chat box to become a member at African Food Chain Member. So today we're talking about adaptation and mitigation strategies in production. And then I would really like for us to share what we have learned in the module from this module, what we have learned in the portal from this module, but then we really do not have the time. Maybe after the speaker's presentation and all, we'll come back to us sharing what our key takeaways are for the modules and then how much we have learned from it. So, but quickly, let's quickly have our speakers' presentations, and then we'll get to do our question and answers, after which we'll come back to this so we don't waste too much time. So the first speaker for today is going to be Afeez Adeoye. He's a consultant at Sahel Consulting. So Afeez is a dairy value chain development expert and holds a master's degree in innovative dairy chain management from Van Al Laristeen University of Applied Science, Netherlands. He holds a bachelor degree in animal physiology from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and a diploma in animal health and production technology from the Federal College of Animal Health and Production Technology, Moore Plantation, Ibadan. He's a Project Management Institute certified project management professional, and he has over the last 5 years been implementing food security and livelihood development projects across the rice and dairy value chain. He's a Systemas de Ben Easter certified animal welfare officer. Adekunle is currently a consultant with Sahel Consulting, where he provides support on program implementation, strategy development, policy advocacy, stakeholder engagement, and data management. He currently works as a livestock development expert on the Advancing Local Dairy Development in Nigeria program, where he leads the implementation of artificial insemination, infrastructural development, and policy advocacy. He has worked with Royal Aware and the Agricultural Ecosystem Service Trading Initiative on climate smart dairy initiative development in the Netherlands. Before joining Sahel, he worked with GIZ on the Competitive African Rice Initiative Program to provide business advisory support for rice value chain development in Nigeria. So if you're not too tired and you're excited to have one of our trainers on this call, please let us give him a virtual clap and then appreciate him. For those of us that have gone through the modules, you must have seen him, right? So let's appreciate him and give him a virtual clap while I hand over the virtual podium to Afeez. So Afeez, if you're on the call, I'm leaving this to you.
All right, thank you very much, Patience, for the warm introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Afeez Adeoye, and I'm glad to be here today. I will be sharing my screen now, then we would start. Just give me a few seconds to pull it up. Okay. All right, so kindly confirm if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so once again, I will just be taking us through the adaptation and mitigation in livestock production. So this is part of the broader topic that aims to expose everyone to how to cope with the effect of climate change, and also how we can contribute to less emission to the atmosphere through our livestock enterprise. So we'll be taking a look at the concept of sustainability, and also the impact of conventional livestock production on sustainability. We'll look at the impact of climate change and nitrogen deposition of livestock. We'll also look at resilience practices in husbandry production. So the very key question we need to ask ourselves is, what is sustainability? There are several definitions out there on what sustainability is. you would get multiple explanations there. But I will tell you that the most comprehensive definition that we can give to sustainability is that definition that takes into account the three key components that makes up the planet. So number one, we have the people. So before we can say an enterprise or a business is sustainable, then it must take into consideration the people, it must take into consideration the planet that we live in, and also it must take into consideration the profits of the stakeholders that are involved. So in short, we can say that an enterprise is sustainable or it is sustainability compliance uh, if it contributes to the quality of life of human. Take, for example, you are a poultry farmer and the people around you are not living comfortably because of your activity, probably because of the smell that comes from your poultry or because of the poor waste disposal of your activity. So the people are not comfortable enough, then your enterprise is not sustainable. And also, if your enterprise is not giving you profit and the stakeholders around you are not making any profit at all from your enterprise, then it cannot be regarded as being sustainable. So if you are into poultry and you sell your eggs, and when you, at the end of the month, and you calculate how much you have spent on feed, how much you spent on drugs, and how much you spend on veterinary consultancy, and you now balance everything with how many eggs you have sold, and you now realize that, oh, you've not actually made any profit, or probably you've made a loss, or you've not made any profit, then your enterprise is not sustainable. And if your enterprise is not contributing to the health of the soil and the biodiversity, both under the soil or above the soil, if your enterprise is not contributing to their health, if the waste from your enterprise or through your activity, you are killing biodiversity, both on the soil or under the soil, then your enterprise is not sustainable. And before your enterprise can be sustainable, you have to tick all these three boxes. Then after ticking all these three boxes, then you can come out boldly and say your enterprise is sustainable. So now, if we want to talk about sustainability and the contribution of our enterprise to sustainability, then we can grade it. We can grade it into three. So the first one, we have scope one. So we have emission from livestock. We have, everybody know, I believe everybody knows what emission is. We know that emission are gases, greenhouse gases. We have methane, we have carbon dioxide, and we also have nitrous oxide, N2O. So, and these gases are produced on three levels, or we can call them scopes. So now, we know that we produce gas, yes. And do we know which scope we can avoid and which one is difficult to avoid, or how we can avoid the emission from these three scopes? Or even if you cannot avoid them, how can you limit them? Because if you are not aware of these emissions, you are not aware of these scopes, it is very difficult to reduce these emissions. So we'll take a look at these three scopes, and I'll try as much as possible to give us relevant examples. So now, the emissions, the greenhouse gas that comes directly from your business are what we call scope one emission. And these ones are the emissions that we have absolute power to mitigate. We can control them. So now, if you are a pig farmer or you are a ruminant farmer, your livestock, both of them, both ruminant and pig, they emit methane from their GIT. So when they eat, methane is part of the byproduct that is produced in their gastrointestinal tract. So when this methane is being produced, it escapes through their mouth into the atmosphere. That is why in some cases, if you have watched some videos online, if some farmers want to treat what we call bloat, accumulation of gas in the ruminant, they will insert a needle into the rumen, and they will light a fire at the end of that needle, and you can see the blue fire burning, and that is to tell you that there is methane present in that rumen. So now, methane is accumulated in the GIT tract of ruminants and pigs. So now we know that methane comes from this part, and how can we mitigate this? So we can mitigate this emission by several means. The first one is what is not sustainable and that is not good is that you can decide to get rid of all the animals, but we cannot do that because of profit. So now what we can do to mitigate this emission is that you can you can increase the quality of feed that you give to your livestock. So now research has shown that by giving quality feed to your livestock, you can reduce their methane emission significantly. And also, if your livestock are in good health, you can also reduce the emission coming from their GIT. And also, of course, for example, if you are rearing ruminants for milk sake or for beef sake, let's say you have like up to like 30 of them that are local breed, you can go for hybrids that can give you multiple of what these local breeds can give you. And with that, you would reduce, instead of you having 30 cows that will give you probably 60 liters of milk per day, you can have probably 10 or 15 Austin Friesian crosses that can give you the same volume of milk. So by that, you have limited the volume of methane gas that you are going to be emitting into the atmosphere from your enterprise. So the next one is nitrous oxide and methane emission from cattle slurry. So now, if cattle defecate now, from their defecation, they can their feces and urine when mixed together is what we call slurry. So now from that, it can emit methane and it can also emit nitrous oxide. So what you can do in this instance is for you to make use of that waste so that you can get rid of the emission coming from it. So if you take this slurry and you process it to give you green energy through biogas production, then you can get methane for cooking and of course to power your house through other mechanisms. So with this, you have reduced the emission that is coming from the slurry from your enterprise, and also emission from operational vehicles and generators. So if you are the type that supplies livestock product to your consumers, in the process of transporting it, you are generating emission. And you can reduce that by probably partner with some other colleagues of yours that you are into the same business to conduct your logistics business together. By doing this, you are reducing your emission drastically. So we have the scope 2 as well. And this scope 2 are greenhouse gas emissions that occur indirectly from your business. And these are the emissions that we have very little control over them. So now I would use hydroelectricity as an example. So now everybody or most people in their enterprise actually make use of electricity, either when you want to depict your poultry. When you want to depict your poultry, you are going to need light to do that. When you want to brood your chicks, you will need electricity to do that. And also, if you want to perform some operations on the farm, you need light to do that. So now, in the process of generating that electricity, some amount of emissions has been generated. Of course, you don't know about it. You are not the primary cause of this emission, but because you are patronizing these electricity companies, you are also contributing. Obviously, their business will not boom and they will produce less emission. What you can do in this instance is you can seek for alternative energy source to power your implements on the farm. So one of them is by leveraging on biogas. So if you are the type that owns probably livestock, probably ruminant poultry, you can convert their waste into electricity and you can circulate it within your farm. Then nothing waste. And also we have scope 3 emissions. So now these are emissions that you have very little control over. In fact, some people will tell you that you have absolutely no control over them. So example are emission from trucks that transport your product to the retailer. Say, for example, you produce, I'll use Nigeria for example. So say you produce poultry eggs in your state, and you sell your poultry eggs to a retailer. The retailer bought it from your state and transport it to another state. So that transportation is not your fault. You are not aware of it, but it's as a result of your enterprise that transportation occurs. Then that is categorized as scope 3. You have absolutely no control over what other persons are doing with your product. So that is basically what the scope 3 means. So emissions from the disposal of your product. Say, for example, somebody bought meat from you, and the person did not finish the meat, and the person just disposed the meat. So in the process of decomposition, the meat will generate greenhouse gas that will go into the atmosphere. Yes, it is your product that causes the emission, but you are not responsible for the action of your consumers. So we cannot directly blame the emission on you. So that is why scope 3 emission is something that is completely out of your control, that you can do very little to control. But of course, we can say with this, I hope we understand how these emissions are categorized and which emission you can actually control and which one you cannot control. Moving on, we have some two key components. We have climate change and we also have nitrogen deposition. And climate change affects livestock production as well as nitrogen deposition. So let's take a quick look at nitrogen deposition. So nitrogen deposition actually occurs when we manage our waste in an improper way. Say, for example, now, your poultry waste, your waste from ruminants, waste from fish farm, when all these wastes actually, when all these wastes are exposed to the soil, they can cause toxicity, they can lead to plant death, they can lead to the death of biodiversity. In fact, bodies could be lakes, could be rivers, they will cause acidity of these water bodies, and they can reduce the oxygen, the dissolve of oxygen in these water bodies. And when there is less oxygen in all these water bodies, it can lead to death of important biodiversity in the water. So with this, you can see how nitrogen deposition actually affects our biodiversity and how it can kill important biodiversity in the soil. Because the truth is, without most of this biodiversity, the fertility of the soil will be reduced drastically, and it will be very difficult to produce food. That is why you realize that if you put manure on a particular area of land, let's say for up to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, and you remove the manure from that particular place, you realize that it will be very difficult for you to see anything growing there for a very long time, because that place is so toxic that all the biodiversities are dead. No plants, no life can actually withstand the level of ammonia that is being deposited into that particular place. So that is the effect of nitrogen deposition on biodiversity. And also, we also have climate change as well. So basically, climate change is principally characterized by increased atmospheric temperature, and this often leads to heat stress, reduced milk, beef, and egg productivity. So if anyone is poultry farmer in the house, or you are a dairy farmer in the house, you will agree with me that on occasion where you have extraordinary heat, in your area, you will realize that your livestock will find it difficult to produce as they normally do, because the livestock will now use majority of the energy, strength, nutrients they are supposed to use to produce egg or beef or milk, as the case might be, to combat the heat stress, to try to stay alive, because staying alive is much more important to the livestock than producing eggs or milk for you. So another thing is that because of the uncertain rain pattern and climate events such as droughts and heavy rainfall, so these things too can affect the productivity of our livestock enterprise. And if you look at it, this thing is just like a loop, because if the livestock keep on producing greenhouse gases, these greenhouse gases, they will affect how the environment is actually warm. And when the environment is warm enough, they will cause heat stress on the livestock. And this stress will actually affect the livestock again, and they will start producing less and less and less. So let's take a look at some management practices that we can actually try out on our farms that would reduce emission and also at the same time that affect our productivity and profit positively. So number one is efficient breeding management. So now I'll explain this with cattle. So let's say, for example, in Kenya, a farmer has 20 dairy cow that are giving him milk. Say they are giving him 15 liters of milk per day. Those are your cows. And you want more cow, you want more milk. How do you do it? And you know that the more cow you get, the more greenhouse gas this cow will release to the atmosphere. So now, if you go into breeding management, if you try out multiple ovulation and embryo transfer, they call it MOIT. So if you try MOIT will give you a pure breed of whatever breed that you so much desire. Could be Frisian, could be Brown Swiss, could be Jersey. Now, if you have this exotic breed on your farm, they can give you as high as 25, 30 liters of milk per day with good management practice. Now, imagine having those cows, probably you have like 20 of them. What those 20 exotic breeds are going to give you will be much more than what up to 50 local breeds of cows are going to give you. So with that, you have control the number of livestock that you have that will contribute to climate change. You have controlled them, and also you are making maximum profit. So those are the advantage of actually having some resilience practice on your farm. Another one is actually trying out integrated mode of farming. So in integrated mode of farming, what we are practically saying in integrated farming system is that nothing should go to waste. Everything you produce on your farm should be used on your farm. Nothing should go to waste. So take, for example, you harvest your cassava and you have some, you harvest your cassava, you slaughter your cattle. So when you harvest your cassava, you have your stem. When you slaughter your cattle, you want to sell them, you have the blood, you have the hoofs, you have the hair. So all these waste, we call them biomass waste. And from the elementary chemistry class, we know that everything on Earth is actually made of carbon. Be it human being, be it house, be it wood, table, chairs, everything is actually made of carbon. Because when you subject them to extreme heat, they will turn into carbon. So now, when you pack all these waste and you can turn them into biochar, and this biochar can actually be incorporated into your soil. And with this, biochar can enrich your soil structure, can improve your fertility, improve the aeration of your soil. It can even improve your soil to withstand erosion. So that is what biomass waste can do to you on your farm. Instead of just dumping this waste somewhere and allow them to just decompose and release greenhouse gas into the atmosphere, there's actually a way you can turn all these waste into biochar, incorporate them into your soil, or you can even sell it to people that will buy. Even in some countries nowadays, there are people that actually reward farmers for actually having biomass waste, because they see that biomass waste as a way of storing carbon, which could have been exposed to the atmosphere in form of a greenhouse gas. So they can reward you in form of carbon credit. So with that, you can make money while also helping your atmosphere to get better and healthier. So another thing we have is waste from poultry, ruminant and pigs. These are excellent source of electricity. If you can turn them into cooking gas, you can turn them into fertilizer through biogas. So now this biogas can give you methane gas in its pure form. You can use it to cook. You can use it as a source of electricity, and the substrate that you have at the end, you can also use it to as a form of fertilizer on your farm. And this fertilizer is purely organic for people that are actually into organic enterprise. So this is what you can get from integrated mode of farming. And also we have for people that are into fish production. So now the water, majority of people into fish production, some change their water every month, some every two weeks, depending on the kind of feed you give to your fish. So now, in the process of changing your water, instead of you releasing that water into the environment, the bad odor will affect people that are passing by. People will complain, oh, this place smells bad, it smells terrible. Instead of that, you can release them. You can have a mini farm very close to your fish farm. You can just release the water. The water will serve as a form of fertigation by providing necessary nutrients to the soil through the waste of the fish. So by doing that, you are saving your enterprise from contributing to for contributing hazardously to the environment. So your enterprise will not only be sustainable, you'll be making money because you will not need to buy any fertilizer for your farm. You are basically using the water, the wastewater from your fish farm to fertigate your other farm, which is very sustainable. So these are the advantages that we can adopt from integrated mode of farming and as a form of resilience practice in our enterprise. So the next thing is in summary, livestock husbandry contributes to greenhouse gas emission and nitrogen deposition. That is very certain. They contribute to it, but it's now left to us to now adopt some practices to reduce this effect. And it takes intentionality and commitment to actually adopt these practices. At first, it might be difficult. You might not be used to it, but I promise you, once you start it, you would love it. You will make more money from it, and you might even spend less on your enterprise than what you currently do with the conventional practice. Thank you very much for listening. This is the end of the presentation. I welcome questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Afis. Thank you so much. I know that many of us will have questions to ask Afis, but then please let's just wait a while for the next presenter, after which we'll ask both of them questions at the same time so that we don't waste too much time. So thank you so much, Afis, and we'll still be coming back to you because I know we have so many questions that we might want to ask you. So thank you so much. I quickly want to present the next speaker so that would quickly go ahead with all of the things that we have to do. Please, a minute, please. Okay, sorry. All right, I know that Mr. Ernest wants to talk immediately, but let me usher you in, sir. All right, so this is Mr. Ernest Abanabakize. He is an international development enthusiast who believes in developing a new culture to leverage strengths and values that inspire transformational change and provide opportunities that place people at the center. He has special interest to address problems associated with climate change, women's economic empowerment and food security, agriculture and natural resources management through technological and social innovations. He has designed and coordinated a lot of initiatives related to capacity building, training programs, development, and research action promotion in areas of climate change adaptation planning, food security, and women's economic empowerment across Africa and North America. He also has extensive experience in project management, research, and policy analysis. He's the co-founder of Agris Research Rwanda, a youth-led organization promoting digital and market-oriented agriculture in Rwanda. He's currently working as an independent consultant to develop nature-based solutions and data-driven decision-making frameworks in agriculture. So I know that most of you that have gone through the modules have seen Ernest almost everywhere. Okay, so we'll just appreciate him in the comment section. Let's give him a virtual clap, at least to even appreciate him for all of the wonderful information we got from the portal. And now he's here to answer most of our questions or our questions that we might have pertaining to what we have learned from the portal. So I'll just hand over to Ernest now, and then he will give his presentation and we'll open the floor for questions. So thank you so much. Ernest, over to you, sir.
No, thank you very much, Patience. I'm so grateful to be part of this large and big community of young people who are doing amazing stuff across the continent. I'm always great to be able to just do my small contribution to what you guys are doing, which is very immense, and I'm so happy to be part of this platform this morning. So mine is not really a presentation per se, as Patient said, because I believe you read the modules, and you might have some few questions and that you want to ask me, or discussion that you want to have. That's why we do have these interactions, these live interactions, so that whatever thing you came across in my modules, or whatever confusions you might have got, or anything really that you want us to discuss, this is the right time and the right platform. But if you want me to say few things, because my modules really are about the mitigation and adaptation strategies in the crop production. You know, it was about that mainly, and I discussed a lot about mitigations, what's that, and what's adaptations, and what are actually the technologies and practices that you guys need to have in place to ensure that you implement those very efficiently and cost effectively. And that's why I said mine is not going to be a presentation. But a few things I would like to, to look at least, because it might actually give a little background of what we discussed in the modules. Let me share something. Give me a second. Because everything I talked about is really about these two concepts. And I want to just share those two concepts, and then we're just gonna share. Just gonna answer questions, and yeah. Give me a second. There you go. I can share my screen. I can do this. I can do this. Come on, and I can do this. Yeah, there you go. So again, like I said, or like all of you have seen in my modules, I talk about a lot about mitigation adaptations. Anything you see, it's about this. And the reason why I want to come back to this is because climate change is here. We're not gonna, run away. We have to face the consequences as much as everybody else. But also, there's something we can do to mitigate, right? Because those are two different concepts which sometimes people use interchangeably, but they're not the same thing, right? So when you mitigate a problem, you're attacking the problem, basically, right? So you're attacking the problem from its source, right? So you really don't want the problem to come again. You are eradicating, if I may use another terminology. So, and what it does is it actually decreases the amount of the greenhouse gas emissions that are supposed to be poured into our atmosphere, which cause most of the problems that we see from floodings, from droughts, from fire in the forest, or even in the natural areas, to any other climate hazards that you might name. And then we go to the other side, adaptation, which is pretty much you trying to fight against the consequences that the problem has already caused you. And we found ourselves mostly doing a lot in this particular sector because, we're facing consequences of what either we have done or what has been done by somebody else, and that's why when we talk about climate change mitigation and adaptation, it has to be a collective effort. Even if you don't do something bad, your neighbor, your friend, your parents, your colleague, your country is going to do something that can harm your product, that can harm your business, that can harm whatever you're putting in place as a business young person. So that's why you can't just go and be in the cage and say, "Oh, I'm mitigating, adapting." You have to speak up. You have to speak out so people know that this is bad. This is, destroying our future. This is destroying our businesses because what you're not doing, somebody else is doing. So it comes really back to how we respond. And the thing is, and this is my last slide, I'm not gonna give a new lecture because I know you have read enough of my slides in your studies. So when we talk about mitigation, so we're really looking at the causes of climate change, and that's what we are dealing with. You're dealing with the cause, not the consequences, right? So, and adaptation, you are looking at the effects, which means you already have issues, now you're fighting back. And while mitigation is mostly global, at the global scale, adaptation need to be local. And this is because what we're having, for example, I'm in Canada for now, the type of issues or consequences of the climate change in Canada are not necessarily the same in Uganda, in Nigeria, in Botswana, in Rwanda, or also in Africa. While some people might be having a lot of new insects attacking their crops or their livestock, in Canada, they might be having the fires in the forest that might be also ravaging their crops. You see, so that's why while there are some common measures that we can describe, some theories, but really adaptation is very local and based on very effects or very consequences each specific area is facing. And in terms of longevity, mitigation is really wrong term, while adaptation is short term in nature. For example, if you're planting trees in your farm, you're probably gonna be doing something for long term because those trees are going to be taking up or soaking up some some CO2 from some emission from the air, and the impact is going to be long term. Whereas if you're having, for example, the floodings in your farm, you can do some terracing, and that's short term to actually reduce the effects of the erosion in your farm, which is okay, but that's not going to resolve the problem. You have to think of the long-term problem, the long-term solution that is actually going to help to avoid the effects of climate change in your farm or in your farming activities. Again, I'm not going to be repeating the modules that you've already read. I just want to bring this reminder of the concepts of most of the things that I've discussed, because apart from this, what I discuss further on in my modules is the examples, the examples of where it has worked. I've given examples in India, in Africa, of practice of some climate smart agricultures that we need to put in place to do both mitigation and adaptations, and those lens from regenerative agriculture, precision agriculture, among many other things. So I'll be happy to respond to all your questions because that's the intention of this live session, to have interaction with you guys, to respond to your questions, to have your comments, to have your feedback, and then so that we can actually, put this into practice and leverage our strength to move forward to adapt and mitigate the effects of climate change. Thank you very much. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful to be part of your community and to offer any drop of help that I'm able to help to give for your advancement.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Ernest. Thank you so much. So we'll quickly go to questions and answers so that we don't take too much time. Evangeline Izuako has been raising this hand for only God knows how long. So let's just go ahead and hear from you, Evangeline. So I'm asking you to unmute and go ahead to ask your questions or maybe make a contribution.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
It's cracking, but we can hear you.
Okay, what about now? Is it better?
It's better. There's still a background noise, but it's better.
Okay. Okay. So good evening. My name is Evangeline Izuako. I'm based in Abuja. So my question is for the first speaker. Hope I'm audible enough.
For the first speaker. Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, it's for the first speaker. So he's talking about exotic breeds. But the first module we have, the first session we had was that learning was based on natural seeds, natural farming methods, and indigenous seeds and all of that. And now this speaker is talking about exotic breeds that gives you more yield, so that you can reduce your waste in terms of methane and carbon emission and all of that. Now the question is, will those exotic breeds survive on our local food? based on what the first module session, what we had when we were encouraging everybody to go back to the nature, to go back to indigenous foods. Now, with those indigenous foods that we used to feed those local breeds, we did be enough to feed and make them reproduce. Would they, I don't know, I know you get the question, I'm sure you get my question. So will our local feeding, our local resources, whatever it is we have based on our location, be enough to make those exotic breeds survive and give us that yield that we are looking for? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hafiz, are you on the call? Or do you want to answer the question?
Yes, I am on the
Okay.
call. Please, if you can please repeat the question again for me, I'll appreciate that.
Okay, Evangeline, do you want to repeat or I should just do it for you? Oh, she has dropped her hand. So,
okay, I can repeat the question.
Okay, yes, please.
So the question is, the first module we had, I don't know if you were there, so the speaker was encouraging us on going back to natural farming practices and using natural and indigenous feed, you know, and just everything that makes us take away GMOs and hybrid seeds. Yes, that was the word, hybrid seeds. But now you're telling us in terms of animal production, we should use exotic seeds, exotic breeds, because these exotic breeds will produce more, give us more use, but reduce our waste and emission and all of that. So my question is, if we are to use our indigenous seeds, our forage and our grasses around to feed, or our seeds around here to feed those exotic breeds, will they perform much more better than using mechanized animal feed for them? Would they still give us that same yield and output if we do not use the synthesized or the foreign animal feed that that those exotic breeds are used to? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. So there is nothing like exotic feed or foreign feed. Yes, I know for in the case of fish now, I know they call some feed foreign feed, some are not foreign. I think the only difference in the foreign and not foreign for fish is how the ingredients were binded together. Foreign feed for fish are well binded, while the local one we are still struggling with how we bind our own fish feed. But I would say this, there is no harm in you producing probably local chicken, local cattle, local everything. No, there is no harm. But what you should understand is this. Let me use local chicken, for example. If you are keeping local chicken, no matter what you give them in terms of management practice, they have the limit to their weight. They cannot exceed a particular weight, a particular size. And yes, local chicken is good and all if you feed them on local feeds, let them graze around the compound and all. But then be sure to have a market that will appreciate that your management practice. Because you would want to make good money, but are your consumers ready to buy from you at that particular price? And if you are keeping, let me give you a short instance, you are keeping a broiler and a local chicken, and you want to sell them after 2 months, you will sell your broiler for a very good price because it will weigh more than the local chicken. Now, what you need to think if you want to go into local chicken production is that, do you have a market? Do you have people that will buy that your local chicken for you at a very good price after probably 6 months or 1 year of keeping? In which, if you are actually keeping broiler, you will have sold your broiler like 4 or 5 times before the end of the year. That is what you need to consider. So there is no harm in keeping poultry or livestock that is hybrid or exotic, as long as your environmental condition is going to allow it, and as long as you can keep up with the management practice, there's no harm there. Just understand your market and understand what they want and give it to them. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we'll just quickly go to the next person. Tonga, your answer is, so I'm asking you to unmute so you can ask. Tonga, if you're speaking, we can, okay, yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'd like to appreciate the presenters Mr. Deconle and Mr. Ernest. Thank you so much. My question is for Mr. Ernest. It's in two parts. The first question is in the modules, I don't know if it's the second one or the first one. There was a diagram of how to take back carbon back into the soil. That was you used the diagram of switchgrass. I found it a bit difficult, hard to understand. If you could explain a little bit on that one, I would really appreciate. And the second question is, how effective, you spoke of many examples where they use natural agriculture like India, and you gave several examples of using organic ways to farm. How effective is cross-planting? That's, I think I'm saying it right, cross-planting, where you plant several crops in order to counter pests. How effective is that for pest control? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tonga. And maybe before I respond to your questions, I'm just gonna go back maybe a second to Evangeline's questions. And thank you, sir, at the Wale for your response. I think that's the right response to be given. While a lot of people, and I understand her questions, because some speaker or some people encourage people that, oh, you can't just bring cows from Europe or from Brazil to Africa because they are not adapted to our climate. And that's true, that's fine. But it has to be also a personal understanding of what business you are doing. While all those cows or those species, exotic species, are not for everybody, right? So, but there are also people who are doing business who need milk. Our cows, our local cows, for example, I'm using cows as an example. While they have evolved to adapt to our climate, and that's fine and that's good, right? But in the advent of climate change, they have not evolved actually to, or actually in the world where the population has actually more than doubled in the last few years, our cows or our local species have not evolved to actually match that demand, right? So, and that's why, as long as you ensure that you have enough food and you ensure that you're actually able to bring the same conditions that those cows need, you have to have a personal understanding of the needs of those cows, of those exotic species, and put those conditions in your areas. And in terms of temperature, in terms of food that they need, because you can't raise them the same way that our local cows are raised. That's the difference. But also, when you raise them the way you're supposed to raise them, the production is a way huge different to what you can expect from our local cows. So it's a different context, but it depends on the business objectives from different personalities and companies. So if I go back to Tonga's questions, I can't remember exactly the example you're giving, or the switchgrass, whatever that is, but the concept is to bring back the CO2 or the sink to the soil. So there's a number of practices I mentioned that can be put in place, and which are known. I can't, they are not exhaustive, there are others, but things like ensuring that you have glass on your farm, things like planting trees, things like ensuring that you put in place minimum tillage or low tillage, not disturbing your soil as much as you can, right? Increasing the organic fertilizers on your soil, ensuring that your soil is covered, as much as 360 days or as much days as you can per year. Those are the type of things that you actually have to put in place to ensure that you are increasing the sink of carbon in the soil, right? So I might have given a specific example, but there are plenty of things that we need to do to actually ensure that we put in place systems that capture the CO2, because CO2 is going to be released anyways, whether we want it or not. And that's not going to be necessary by you. It's going to be by a business near your farm. It's going to be near, by a hospital. It's going to be by the cars that are passing by. It's going to be by whoever you want to mention, whoever business can be around, right? So since we know CO2 is moving around and it's just going to be causing damage and harm, what do we put in place to capture it, to create a sink? Because when we capture it, it's not CO2 anymore. It becomes carbon now that the plants need. because it becomes now it becomes a comprehensive element of now the positive elements or the beneficial elements of the plants. It's not harming anymore because you count it by the plants, by the trees, by covering your crops, by planting cover species. Remember, cover species is not the same as just covering with residues. There are some specific cover species that are known to capture enough CO2. Those are the type of the things I was discussing. And I gave some examples of those type of trees that you put in place or that you actually mix with the crops to ensure that you increase the sink of carbons. Now, this brings me to your second question. In agriculture, they don't say cross planting; they say intercropping. Cross blooding, I think, it's a livestock term. But I understand your question. So it's a very effective term in terms of if climate change mitigation, in terms of also pest management, because, for example, let's say you're having a plantation of vegetables, in your farm. You're planting eggplants, or you're planting name it, whatever you want to put in place. If you put, for example, the line of onions, on the perimeters, not only you get extra cash, extra money, but onions also release some hormones that are actually repellents of some insects. And you have 2 crops already. And you can go and on. There are some specific plants that are known to be together without harming each other, but with mutually bringing benefits together. I just gave an example of onions, which is a repellent of some insects, but there's more other crops that you can mix with your plants, whether beans or whether vegetables. Not only you increase production, not only you have variations in terms of food security, but also you gain in terms of pest management as an integrated approach.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ennis. We'll quickly go to the next person, Gertrude Basharon. Please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon, we can hear you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the presentations. I just have a question because it's something that seems contraindicative in my mind. Here we're talking about going back to our natural crops, natural species, and all of that. But our government seems to be embracing GMOs. So I'm like, so which one should we actually be promoting? Which is better for our people? Which is better for our land as a continent? So I don't know if you can just help us throw a little more light on this. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Ennis, you can go ahead, or either of you can just go ahead and answer this.
Either you want to go ahead or you want me to start?
Maybe you can just go ahead.
Okay. No, but that's Gertrude, that's a very complex question because it involves policy making, it involves also having an understanding of choices that we have to make. So there are 2 things involved here. While policy is a very big aspect of the work we do, but also there has to be education, because not every policy is going to be necessarily favoring everybody. Some policies in some countries are just there because of some reasons and not necessarily favorable for all the public. So I'm sorry to say that, and I'm not mentioning any country here. But when we talk about genetically modified organism or plants or whatever name you give it, people are start to adopt that concept to actually mitigate some aspects of climate change. Kind of saying, if we have crop that are not resistant to the sun, to the droughts, why can't we include some genes that's going to increase actually the resistance of this particular crop, so that this plant can thrive in this environment? That's fine. You are solving the problem of resistance to droughts, and it's going to be, but the genes you are incorporating is going to have effects on my health. That's the problem now, because we have a number of papers, we have a number of researches that is very published, and that is actually acceptable by the bodies that have to accept it, that the GMOs have very high effects, consequences on our health. You have to bargain. So you have to see if you're really looking for quantities or if you're looking for quality. If you're looking for quantities, fine. You go for GMOs because you're gonna have plenty of production. But what about the quality? What about the effects on our health? That's the issue. And that's where we come back and say, hey, we know we having a growing population, especially in Africa, and we need to cover our basic needs, our food. But what do we do to ensure that actually we increase production without harming our health? Right. So, and here's what we're talking about. The issue, if you have gone through my modules, right? So I'm not necessarily saying that we should go back to Rocco species necessarily. That's not, you can't preach that alone, because the problem is our soil, because the soil is the basic thing. Because even those GMO, if you plant it now and tomorrow, after 5 years, if your soil is bad, they're not gonna work. I'm telling you the truth. So that's why we're saying, if you are a farmer, the basic and the first and foremost thing to work on is to ensure that you have a safe soil, a soil that is healthy. Protect your soil, because if your soil thrives, your crops are going to thrive no matter what. Me, that's my preaching. That's what I'm saying. That's, if you go throughout my modules, if you go through regenerative agriculture, I'm talking about increasing the efficacy, the efficiency, ensuring that our soil is productive, ensuring that our soil is regenerated, because our soil is already dead. And it's dead because we have used so much fertilizers, like inorganic fertilizers. We have used so much pesticide. We have used so much herbicide, and our soil is just a victim. So we have to regenerate it. We have to bring it back to the actual form if we want production. And if we have a soil that is okay, our plant, our species are going to thrive no matter what.
Thank you so much, Mr. Enes. This is really profound. Thank you so much. So we'll go to the next person now. I'm sorry, please, because he never attend to something. Or if you have a question for him that's really important for you, please, you got questions to me, and then I'll get them from him, and we'll get the answers back to you, please. So we'll go to the next person now, Alain. So let's just quickly have okay, so we have 4 people that their answer raised. We'll just stop at these 4, please, so that we don't waste too much time. So we have Alain, Mohammed, Makele, and Opanachi. So we'll just start with Alain in that order. Alain, please unmute and ask a question.
Okay, hello everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm Mr. Allen, since the Czech Republic. So I apologize because my English is very poor. We are from a French-speaking country. So anyway, I can do it, but it will be difficult for me. So I have a question for the second speaker.
Ben,
So
si c'est pour moi, tu peux parler en français, il n'y a pas de problème.
Ok, merci bien, merci bien. Voilà, ma question est que comment est-ce que l'assurance agricole indicielle et aussi le système d'alerte précoce peut intervenir quand nous parlons du changement climatique d'adaptation. Voilà ma question.
Mais je peux répondre en anglais pour le bénéfice de tout le monde, n'est-ce pas?
Il n'y a pas de souci, merci.
Yeah, so since at least he's able to comprehend English very well, though speaking is not her strength. So He's asking how is the crop insurance and the early warning system, the climate early warning system, how are those two things important in terms of climate change adaptation mitigations? So those two things are very, very important because like I said, when we talk about the concept of mitigation and adaptations, they all relate to climate change. We're trying to actually see what we can do about climate change. Mitigation, we are fighting the cause, the concept, the cause, right? So we try to fight the root causes. Adaptation, we find ourselves in the problem, we're trying to actually fight back the consequences. And all those type of things, insurance, early warning system, they are actually for adaptation. Because if we know already, for example, if you're living in the West Africa, you know how the dry season is becoming too long these days. So recently I was in Senegal, and the farmers have already planted, hoping for the rain to come, and after 2-3 months, the crops are already drying up. You see, so that's something you cannot predict, but you already know because we have drought and stuff as the consequences. So you have to adapt. So having insurance is going to help you at least recuperate or gain, or help you not to lose actually your inputs, your capital, your money, and even if your crops are gone, but at least you're going to have the money back that can help the family to make ends meet at home, to eat, to put food at the table. You see, so that's why when you see those type of systems encouraged by governments or some institutions, I think it's a way to also adapt to the effects, because they are saying, look, floods, floodings, droughts, and heat are here, and we can't predict when they are going to come now. So because we can't predict, now let's do this. Let's actually insure our crops. But the smart guys are going to come, you know what? We can help you predict when the heat or when the floodings is going to be coming. Let's put here let's put the early warning system so that we know when the droughts are going to come. So we know when the floods are going to come. These are not going to prevent the droughts. These are not going to prevent the floods to come. That's why I say it's an adaptation strategy, but it's not a mitigation. While you do those, you still have to work very hard and work on your mitigation strategies to ensure that those you actually kill the root cause. That's the way I can put it simply.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Ali, for asking this question. And I'm so glad that the language did not deter the question. Thank you so much. So, Mohammed, please go ahead and ask the question.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good
Mr.
afternoon, we
Speaker.
can hear you.
Yeah, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the presenter for this wonderful insight. The question I want to ask is to the second speaker. So my question goes like, just like in the era of that we have now, that we at least the major thing we are talking is on climate smart agriculture. So my question now goes like this, especially for the regenerative can this practice be adopted in a large scale? Because all these things, the way I see it, is a practice that needs some kind of concept that you need to follow the rules. Just let me just say about this regenerative agriculture. You have some man have to at least fulfill up to like 9 principles. And then with all these principles, I think the way I see that is something that can be done on a small scale. What about someone that is aiming or is into commercial farming or commercial practice? Can this thing be implemented? If it can be implemented, what are the way it can be done? That's my question, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mohammed, for your question. No, so regenerative agriculture is not meant for small, bigger scale, because the concept of regenerative agriculture is not about the size of where you're applying it. The concept is restoring the soil. First of all, let's accept the sickness. First of all, let's accept that our soil is sick. In fact, if you check the numbers, if I remember very correctly, I've already told you that almost more than 50% of our land is degraded. Is that not a big problem? Does that concern any scale, small or big? Because whether you do it on small scale or bigger scale, your land is degraded already. After many years of malpractices, after many years of using practices that kill your soil, and your soil is the backbone of your agriculture. So whether you're doing it on a small scale or bigger scale, it really doesn't matter. But coming back to your questions, but I will want to give you that background for you for food of thought. But in terms of scale, if you went deep into the modules, I gave example of Andhra Pradesh in India. You're going to see the production is really massive, like in terms of tons. That's big scale. That's not small scale. If you see the type of production they're having, it's in tons, in many tons. So they are doing this within big cooperatives. So they're doing really big scale, big land. So talk about 9 principles that you raised. If you think about those principles, there's nothing new in those principles. Those are things that our parents were doing back then. We are only saying, let's go backward. Even if people say backwards is bad, but this time around, backwards is fine. Because none of those things is really new. It's just ensuring that we actually become harmonious with our nature. Let's say, for example, I'll mention a few principles and tell me which one cannot be applied on bigger scale or larger scale. If we talk about minimum tillage, is minimum tillage not worthy to do on bigger scale? You can do it. Whether you're doing 5 hectares, 20, 100 hectares, 1 hectare, you can do minimum tillage, because minimum tillage means less disturbance to your soil. Less disturbance to your soil is efficient whether you're doing on a small or bigger land. When we talk about organic matters addition, whether you're doing on 2 hectares, 50, 100, 1,000, 1 hectare, when you add organic matter to your farming activities, not only you are adding carbon to your soil to regenerate your soil, but also it's a needed product. It has needed components that your crops need, whether you are small or big. You see, and I can go on talk about all those 9 principles. So it's not really about the size, it's about the concept of understanding that our soil is degraded. We need to, first of all, regenerate the soil if you want to have results that we intend, if we need to have productivity that we intend, if we need to increase our production. Somebody's talking about minimum tillage now before I leave the floor. Minimum tillage is ensuring, for example, back home in Africa, we use who, right? So, and you see people when they are cultivating, they put the hoe on one spot maybe 2 times, one as if they are using the ash to cut a tree. But you've also seen people who actually put their plantation on the lining. They just dig slightly and they put crops in those linings. So it has been proven that the less disturbance you apply to your soil, the more effective your soil is, and the more a result, harvest it's going to give you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ernest. Thank you so much for taking your time with all of these questions. This is well appreciated. So the next person, Makele. Okay, Makele, please unmute and ask the question.
Okay. No, everyone, and I also want to thank you guys for this opportunity. It's really informative. Like you said, my name is Michael from South Africa. I would like to ask you a few short questions. This is based on, I think two just can answer these questions. This is based on medication, specifically when it comes to fertilization. I wanted to ask if the fish can I use harvested rainwater for the fish? That's my first question. And the second question is, what type of emissions do fish waste produce? And when it comes to fertigation process, will it not harm the plants when applied directly to the garden? The third question arose from your last explanation when it comes to tillage. You said the minimum tillage, you were explaining that. So I'm asking if the soil is compact, if the soil is too compact, will the plants still survive? Thank you. Those are my three questions.
All right, so I think this question is actually for Mr. Fils because he talked about livestock, but then maybe the last question that has to do with tillage, Mr. Ernest, could just go ahead and answer that. And then Mr. Makele, we can talk after now, and I'll get all of your answers across to you, right? I think that would be better. So Mr. Ernest, please go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, so regarding the minimum tillage, right?
Yes.
And what was the question again? I was absent-minded for some reason for a second, but I heard you.
Yes, I was asking if the soil is too compact, say maybe, yes, will the plants, is it healthy for the plants? Will they survive?
I got it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, all right, thank you very much, Makele. Yeah, so that's the thing. So because see the soil is not about, yes, while the structure is very good, also it has a function in terms of the health of the crops, but what has more importance is actually the components, or actually the composition of that soil. So again, you're not gonna go and put crops without just touching the soil, right? So it's not gonna happen. But the thing is, no matter how compact the soil is, no matter how structured, how close the composition of the soil can be, the plants are going to be all right, as long as they got all the nutrients they needed in that soil. Because what really matters is, what do we have in that soil? What do we have in the soil? That's what matters. The structure of the soil, that's fine, because if you destroy the structure, that's where the issue starts actually. But the biggest, the highest problem is whether compact, whether open, whether clay, whatever structure you want to call it, what is it inside that soil? What are we putting in that soil? That's where the issue comes actually. And also becomes also the question of which type of crops are we planting. But overall, if I want to answer your question, I would say that it won't have an effect, because we've seen, for example, if you're in South Africa, you'd see that most people who do actually large scale, they don't till. They just have some machines, they just deposit, they draw some lines around, and they are going to be just depositing their crops and put just a little soil on the top. It really doesn't matter. It won't harm your crops, the compactness of the soil, as long as your soil has enough components that species need to survive and to grow.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Zionist. So we'll have the last question from Bonwachi O. Jacobs. So please unmute and quickly ask your question.
All right, like I just dropped something on this chat. I've been raising my hand up. I think there is a difference between crossbreeding, which I think is hybridization, and genetic modification of organisms. I think many of the participants misunderstood that you can as well have the improved species or improved breeds without necessarily modifying. So I need some verification from there if I am wrong, because that has been my thinking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Ines, do you want to answer that? All right.
No, I think that's for livestock, but there are two things, right? So when it comes to livestock production, you can either have local breeds, which are pure local breeds. You can have hybrids, and for hybrids, you don't need to do any modification. Hybrids means you are just having some traits from exotic, and then you're also having traits from local species. So that's and those actually the hybrids tends to survive much better and to bring much more production compared to local breeds, and they're actually much better in terms of survival to the climate change effects when you compare them to the pure exotic breeds. So that's why when I gave an answer to somebody who asked about the exotic species, and indigenous species, I said you first of all have to understand what you need in terms of businesses. If you need production of milk, for example, you will know that the exotic species are going to be more productive. But you also have to have understanding that they are going to be hardly adaptable to the local conditions in terms of climate. And that's where the aspect of hybrid becomes into play. And they are very recommended in terms of climate adaptation and in terms of increasing our production in livestock.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Ines.
Thank you very much. I understand it now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you so much. So in essence, if GMO is different from hybrid, I think that's the point. GMO has nothing to do with hybrid crops or livestock. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. For those that were not able to ask questions, you can send the questions to us. I'm sorry, Mwadike, we can't take further questions, and because our time is really fast spent, we really need to let our facilitator go, and then we need to do other things as well. But before our speaker leaves, like we always do, we'll just put on our videos and then have our photo, our family photo, and after which we'll let Mr. Ernest leave. So thank you so much. I would like that everybody put on their videos so that you never can tell when you travel next week and you see Mr. Ernest. This is your evidence that you have been in the same session with him and all that. So this picture will help you really say, oh yes, you were my facilitator. And if you also say, oh no, you quickly show him an evidence. So please let's on our videos. Thank you. I can see so many people putting on their videos, and I'm sure that my colleagues are taking the snapshots for reference. Thank you so much for everyone that's putting on their videos. I can see so many videos coming on. Thank you so very much. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ernest. It's really good to have you on this call. Thank you for always coming to talk to our participants and for all of the impact and then the insights you provide at every time you come to talk to them and all that. Every participant that we've always had have really all the time commended your video on the portal. And I want to say thank you so much. This is another opportunity to appreciate you again for all of the wonderful works that you do and you're still doing for the BRACE program. So thank you so much, and do have a great evening. I don't know whether it's morning or afternoon where you are, but then do have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rav. You are. Keep doing what you're doing, and I wish you all the best, and see you next time.
Thank you so much. See you. Thank you. All right. So I promised that we're going to have the portal walkthrough today, so that because last week, between last week and now, we really experienced a lot of people going through so many tussles with the portal, not knowing what to do, and then some people were even saying the portal wasn't responding to them even after they click on the modules, it doesn't respond and all that. So I just want to quickly share my screen and then show you how to navigate the portal in a few minutes so that we'll understand how the portal works. So please just give me a minute to share my screen. Okay. All right, I'm sure you can see my screen now, right? Please let me see it in the chat box that you can see my screen. I just want to be sure that everyone can see my screen. Just one comment and I will continue. Can you see my screen? Can you hear me at all? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So this is the portal. If you click on that link and it's not showing this, then you are not in the right place. It has to show you this. Even if it's not showing yet, you just leave it to load. So most people don't allow it load. They just go ahead and click on something else and they start inputting their details on something else. So this is where you come to, and then you input your details here. So if you input your email address, the email address you register with is what should be there. And then we sent you a default password, which is Grace24_22. But I know some people might have changed their password, and which is really fine if you can change your password. But if you don't want to change it, it's also still very fine. So if you want to reset password, this is password reset underneath. So you click on password reset and then it will send you a link where you can change your password on your email address. So I would want to quickly open this so that we would look at the portal together. So I'm logging into the portal now. I wait for it to open. So it has opened for me. So this is my portal that has opened for me. So you go to, it's only the first module that is open. So even if I click on these modules now, everything is showing, they are all locked. Everything is locked here. It's only the first one that is open. So the first one, if you don't finish the first one, the second one will not open for you. So I'll have to click on this first one first and go ahead to click on all the courses. So because I have done from course 1 to course to the last course, that's why you see that it's active, otherwise it would have been showing low. The reason why module 2 has not opened is because I have not done the assessment. So I'll just click on the assessments now and assessment comes up. So when assessment come up, I will begin. I'll click on begin. So when I click on begin, I will just answer the question. So for the sake of this thing, I will just answer randomly. I'll just answer randomly so that we don't delay you all on the call. Oh. Okay, so I'm answering the module of. So I just clicked randomly. So don't expect that, oh wow, I scored 60. That's fair. So because I have answered the assessment, that is why the next module will open to me. So if you are not done with everything there, the next module cannot open to you. So now I'll click on next module and it will take me straight to module 2. Now you can see that in module 2, only introduction is open. All other modules, all other courses are locked. Why? Because I've not started. So once I start with the introduction, I click introduction now, which has opened. So if I want the French version, I can just click to show French version. If I want the English, I can just click to show English version. And I must have to watch this first. After watching it for a while and all that, I can now click next course. And that is where it takes me to the next course. If you don't click on the first course, it will not take you to the next one. So you see, that is the reason why regenerative agriculture, which is the next course, has opened to me. If I don't do that, it will not open to me. If I go back to the main module now, module 2 is now open because I have done the assessment for module 1, and module 2, regenerative agriculture, is now open, and the precision farming is now, because I have done all of those things. So if you don't open a course, the next one will not open. So you really need to open all of the courses, then get to the assessments and take the assessments. That's the only way you can move to the next module. That's really very important, please, so that you get to understand. Because I understand some people were clicking on modules that are still locked. That is why they were not getting any results. So if you are clicking on the, for example, if I leave precision farming and go to this course 6, adaptation and mitigation in livestock production, there's nothing I will do that will make it open to me. Why? Because the previous courses have not done them. Until I do the previous courses before I can take this one. So you cannot jump a module and go to the next one. It doesn't work. It is not programmed that way. So that's actually why some people were having the issue that they had with the modules not responding to them. So I think this was a major challenge last week. But please, if you have questions, let me see your hand. Let me just stop sharing so that I can see your hands. If possible, I'll share it. Please, if you have questions pertaining the portal usage, there is an issue you experience that I have not mentioned on this call, please just raise your hand and I will question. But if it is clear, then you don't really need to raise your hand. So I'm not seeing any hands though. Okay. Okay, Mohammed Wahid. All right, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My question goes like this. Assessment. Do we have any grade for it? Is it going to be added to the overall assignment, or how is it going to be graded? Does it contribute to the score?
Okay, yes. So we've actually answered this before during the onboarding. So I advise that for those of us that were not around during the onboarding and all of that, you can go back. We have sent the onboarding link, the recording and all that. You can go back and listen to the onboarding video so that we get to understand more. But however, I'll answer that question. So the assessment actually is very important. It adds to your score. It's the aggregate of the assessment that gives you the overall score at the end of the day. So, but the assignment has nothing to do with that. So the assignment is basically just for self-practice and then just a kind of self-learning thing. But you see, that assessment is something that you have to do. That is why for the assignment, we have said, oh, if you can submit, it's okay. But if you cannot submit, it's also fine because it's a self-learning thing. It's for you to just be able to challenge yourself as to all of the things that you have learned in that module and all that. So really, the assignment is not a yardstick for you to go to the next module or for you to be able to graduate from the course. But then the assessment is important. You need to do the assessment and it adds to the overall score eventually. So assessment, yes. Assignments, not really, it's not compulsory, though it's okay to really attempt it. So thank you so much. Is that fine?
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, if we have other questions, I would like to take them, but if there is none. Okay, so I want to believe everybody on this call understands how the portal works and how it is very important. So even if you attend all of the live interactive session, it is very important that you take the courses in the portal. As a matter of fact, if you do not take the courses in the portal and you attend all the 6 live interactive sessions that we're going to have, you will still not get the certificate because the certificate is in the portal. It's only when you have concluded all the learning in the portal that you'll be able to download the certificate. So the certificate is to be downloaded from the portal. So I just thought to quickly let us know that as well, so that we understand it. So then we've come to the end. Okay, I think there are some questions in the chat. Let me quickly check. Is there an evaluation link for today's session? So yeah, so today there's no link, there's no evaluation link. Yeah, none at all for today's session. But then in the portal, you need to complete the module 2. Module 2 is what we are doing today. You need to complete module 2 in the session in the portal, which is really very important for us. So is there okay. I think it's the same question. Is there any evaluation system that consider discussion session? Oh, yes. So we have the top scholar system, which we talked about during the onboarding and all that. So the top scholar is where the first 10 persons that actually came out, the top 10 persons for that week, they are recognized, posted on our social media pages with their businesses, their names and their faces, if they want, yeah, posted to just celebrate them and then announce them in our on our social media pages and all of that. So for those of Module 1 and Module 2, I'm sure we'll have all of them posted next week and all that. So it's your attendance in the live interactive session, and then your completion of the module in the portal, as well as your mark that determines whether you are a top scholar or not. So that's actually very important. So I'm still here to complete the module 2. Hope no wahala. Oh, there's no wahala to complete module 2. Is really okay that you complete it. You know, one of the reasons why we advise that we all complete it and before the live interactive session is to be able to have like a standpoint, to be able to ask questions from the trainers or the facilitators based on what you have learned in the portal. So if you have really not done that module, you will not have like strong points and all of that to be able to ask questions from the facilitators. Will you be sending all the recordings? Yes, we will be sending all the recordings. For the LIS week 1, we have sent that already. We have also sent the onboarding video. Yes, we have sent those 2. So we'll be sending this one as well. So next week, after we have downloaded this and uploaded to our YouTube, we'll send you the link so that you can go ahead and we watch and go through the live interactive session. Somebody is asking, where can I download certificates? So when you are done with the course and the LIS, that's when you'll be able to download certificates. So certificates you can't download now till the 6th week, till you have completed the live interactive session before you can download your certificates. That's actually very important. You will have to complete both the online courses and then the live interactive session has to come to an end. The last day of the last live interactive session is where you have access to download certificates. I didn't get the recording session. Oh, really? I sent it via email, and we also sent it via WhatsApp. So if you didn't get, please reach out to us. We'll be sent to you, please. We have always sent all the recordings. How do you know if someone has joined LIS? Because we are taking attendance, and that's why we've always advised that you use your name when you join the session. So when you join the session, use your name. We said this again during your onboarding, that rather than leave it as Galaxy iPhone 3 or iPhone 14 or iPhone 15, just rename it and put your name there, so that when we look at the attendance, would see your name and know that you are the one that attended the session. That's really important, especially for those that want to be top scholars. You can score the IES on the portal and then come back to the live interactive session attendance, and we are not seeing your name there because you have used iPhone or Galaxy, and there's no way we will know that it's you. So you really need to use your name. I'm trying to download the material, but it's not working. What will I do to download? So we have downloaded all the materials and sent to everyone. So please reach out to us if you have not gotten, because we sent all of the materials in the additional reading materials, right? Because we have said that it's only the additional reading materials that you can download. So we can send the additional reading materials to you if you have not gotten yet, because we sent them already. Benefits of being a top scholar. Like I said, it's not really a big deal to be a top scholar, but if you want to be a top scholar, it's just to be able to announce your business in our social media pages. And that's actually very important to some businesses, not everyone do. So that's what we do for our top scholars. We really cannot put everyone in our social media pages. So only top scholars are the people that we get to put and announce via our social media pages. Where is the attendance sheet? Leave that to us. We know where to get our attendance sheet. So thank you so much. Is there a question I did not answer? Okay, I'm not sure there's any question I didn't answer. Okay, I think there's any grants at the end of the course. Oh no, we don't give grants at African Food Chain Makers, which you have made clear from the first day. So all of the business linkages, the knowledge and all of those other things are the things that we give, and then studies visit for some people eventually at the end of the session for the top scholars, and then for people, okay, top scholars too. Oh yes, we try to ensure that they go for our study visits, and then for the people that we would, for the countries that would have our study visit, because I've explained this before, that we have study visit, but it's not in all countries, because we possibly cannot go to all the countries in Africa and all of that. That's really intensive and all that too. But there are countries that will visit per region because of the participation of those countries. So maybe we have a lot of participants from those countries and all of that. We consider that country and we go there for our study visits. So we take participants to facilities, climate smart facilities, for them to really do like a practical experience, to have a practical experience of what they have learned in the portal. So that's what we do for that. So there's no grants at African Food Chain Makers. We can connect it to other organizations that give grants and all that, but we don't directly give grants to members or participants. Some of our login ID has a related name. It may not be full name. I don't know how you will reconcile that. Please use your full name so that we don't have the issue. And if you have the opportunity, it doesn't take anything. You can just, when you join in, you can just go to the settings and then change your name to the name you really want to use. Seriously, that's important. So that we'll get to see you. So thank you, everyone. I think I have answered most of the questions, but if you still have other questions or there's something you're not clear with, please reach out to us at the Brace email, or you can reach out to any of the admins in the WhatsApp group, and we are always willing and glad to help you navigate the portal or address any issue you may be having. So yeah, we advise that you complete module 3. So for those that are yet to complete module 2, please go ahead and complete module 2 and then complete module 3 as well, because we'll be having our live interactive session for module 3 next week, Friday, and we expect to see you all on that call. So thank you so much. If there is no other question, I would want to say call this a beautiful evening for those that are still having evening in their location. So night, is it morning or whichever way. So thank you so much, everyone. Bye.